It is my pleasure this afternoon to introduce someone who is no stranger to this district. As a matter of fact, I think he was officially adopted even though no paperwork was done. But Barry Racine, who will be speaking with us momentarily, served as the World President of Rotary International in 2018-2019. His responsibilities involved leading and motivating 36,000 Rotary clubs in the 200+ countries throughout the world. In addition, he served as chairman of the board for Rotary International. He was named the first fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives in the Bahamas, and we all know he's in the healthcare sector. He has been a member of Rotary International, Rotary Club of East Nassau since 1990, serving as the president, and he served as governor for District 7020. He served on the Rotary International Board of Directors, trustee, and vice chair of Rotary International, and he's currently elected to be the chairman of the Rotary Foundation for 2023-2024. Barry Racine served both Rotary and the Rotary Foundation in many capacities, such as chairman of the RI Finance Committee and as RI training leader and seminar trainer for Rotary leaders. He is founder of the Hand Wash Project, which is the Haiti National Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Strategy, which is a collaborative program to bring potable water and satisfactory sanitation to all the citizens of Haiti. This is a multi-decade US $2.3 billion initiative, which Mr. Racine is the chair of, and it's based in the US. His spouse is very supportive of his humanitarian initiatives, and it is my distinct pleasure this afternoon to welcome him as he delivers his remarks to us.
Thank you so much for that introduction. It's good to be back with my adopted district. Always a pleasure to speak with 7030 and all my friends. I wish I could see you all, but unfortunate. But another time, the in-person days are slowly coming back, and we're all excited about that. My club is back to meeting in person. We're a hybrid, but most of us are showing up in person. So things are looking much better, and that's a good thing as we get through this tough couple of years that we've all endured. So my job today is to talk about the Rotary Foundation and how do we spend your dollars? And it's always important to know so that you're comfortable that the Rotary Foundation truly is the best foundation in the world. And I really, without any bias, I do believe that. When you look at Charity Navigator, who evaluates NGOs like ours and foundations that are nonprofit, they have rated us about 14 years in a row as their top rating with 4 stars. And I think that speaks volumes for it. 91% of what you donate to the Rotary Foundation, to the annual fund, especially to restricted funds, goes directly to our programs or to our operational cost, not to administration. And again, I think that's important for us to remember. And we all know that Rotary, our #1 priority as an organization, both Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation, is to eradicate polio off the face of the earth. And we're all frustrated it's taken this long, but we are truly looking toward the end of our program. So far this year, we've only had 1 case of polio. And remember, when we talk a case of polio, that means 1 child came down with that horrible, horrible disease. And the 1 case, the 1 child was in Afghanistan. And part of that problem is we weren't able to vaccinate children for a couple of years because we simply couldn't go into the neighborhoods. They were just too dangerous in that section of Afghanistan. That being said, with the changes recently in Afghanistan, the Taliban now provide our security so that our health teams can go and vaccinate all the children in the entire country. And the Taliban protects us. That being said, we've still had some health workers killed within the last few weeks. But I admire the people there in Afghanistan and Pakistan, the only 2 endemic countries, because they do so much with so little. And at risk. They are truly at risk. Every day they go out and they vaccinate the children. So they save all of us around the world. In 2021, there was 6 cases, 1 in Pakistan, and it's been over a year now since we had any in Pakistan. There was 4 in Afghanistan, and there was 1 wild polio virus in Malawi. It came from Pakistan, and we know we can make sure that stops right there so there are no more. And of course, there has been, the circulating virus continues, but much less than it has in the past. So we're making progress there as well. We've changed the vaccine formula, and that's helped with the circulating virus. It was a little scary that we had 1 in Israel with the circulating virus, hadn't had 1 there in years. But it's a reminder to us, we must eradicate polio off the face of the earth. That's the only way for all of us around the world, to be safe from getting that horrible, horrible virus. So we continue, it's still our priority, and we will get the job done because we made that promise to our children to do that. And I know the Rotary Foundation comes across to many people as a complex organization, and they get a little scared of it because there's so many parts to it. And that is true, there are many parts to the foundation. But the good that we do makes it worth your while to just take the time to really understand the foundation and all the things that we do. One of the programs within the foundation that really goes to the heart of our mission is the Peace Fellow program. These Peace Fellows are trained to deal with conflict resolution in difficult parts of the world. This year, we've admitted 130. Normally, it's about 100 Peace Fellows a year. This year, about 130 of them. The interest around the world shows you how important this is, because we had over 1,300 applications to be a Peace Fellow, from which we chose only 130. So less than 10% of those interested were able to get into the program. And they come from 57 different countries around the world. 53% of them are female, so it's a nice balance, really doing well with diversity with the Peace Fellow program. For those interested, the average age within the certification program is 38, and in the master's program is 32. So we're getting young people to be trained to work with conflict resolution. And most of the 1,400 graduates are working in conflict areas in countries that need help, either for the government or for the NGOs. And again, it's just a good reminder that this goes to the heart of who we are when we say we believe in world peace and world understanding and peace. So it's important that we continue to support the peace program. How do we support? Well, we have a number of different funds, as you know. And again, this is where sometimes Rotarians get a little concerned about the complexity, but it's simple to break down. The Endowment Fund is just as that, an endowment, which the principal stays there. We use the interest. And last year, we earned enough that we could use the interest, use what it earned of $21.1 million for foundation programs. I think that's incredible. Which, as we build the endowment, it puts less and less pressure on us to raise dollars, because our investments will provide tremendous support for the programs of the foundation. Right now, as of the end of last Rotary year, we had $666 million in cash in the endowment, and another $882 million in commitments from people who've left it in the will, left us property, and made various types of commitments that we will get those funds at some point in time. That's $1.5 billion. But remember, our goal is $2.025 billion in the endowment fund by 2025. Now, that's only a couple of years away. That being said, we actually have some great plans to make sure we achieve that goal. And I'm sure once we achieve that goal, then we will be able to plan to a greater extent on what the investments earn there. One of our funds that has really come into the limelight over the last 2 years is our disaster fund. We created this disaster fund a few years back in order to raised general dollars to allow for grants of $25,000 each to help those districts around the world who were dealing with a disaster. And we thought of earthquakes, we thought of hurricanes, we thought of those kind of disasters. Then along came the pandemic. The pandemic really woke us up as to how we could really use this disaster fund to help us move quicker, which is really critical, so that we could get help to Rotarians in difficult areas quickly as possible. Well, guess what? We spent some $39 million out of the disaster fund for, sorry, not only the disaster, but we also had many global grants, but it all started out of the disaster fund because we were able to turn those funds around really quickly. Within weeks, we were able to turn around millions of dollars to help in regions of the world that needed help with hospital equipment, with personal protective equipment, with whatever they needed to be able to handle the pandemic as it hit them so quickly. So really worked out well for the COVID-19 response. Worked quickly, able to help up to $39 million in a short period of time. Then what happens? We get this war in the Ukraine and we needed to move quickly. Well, as of right now, again, we're using the disaster fund, and everything donated to the disaster fund up until April 30 will be going only to the Ukraine and the countries around the Ukraine. Basically, those countries near the Ukraine or the Ukraine itself can get grants up to $50,000. And once they use it, they can come back and get another. That's a change that we haven't done in the past, but we felt it important to do so. And countries more removed, but still helping the Ukraine, can get grants up to $25,000. And already we've provided $900,000 in grant funds to in 11 countries in order to support their efforts to help primarily the refugees. We've raised $7.3 million so far just for this effort, and I know all of that will be spent appropriately to help those who are struggling with the problem of the Ukraine. We all have our hearts broken by what we see is happening there, and we all want to do whatever we can. One thing I'm particularly proud of is how the Rotaract organizations within Europe got together and they broke themselves into 4 committees in order to help those in and outside of the Ukraine. So they've got one for medicine, one for supplies, one for transportation, and I believe one for food. So in these committees of Rotaractors are there at the border every day, working to help those who need help. Rotarians, of course, are doing their job as well. So we are doing everything that we possibly could do to help those who are refugees from Ukraine and need everything from shelter to food to transportation. We're doing. You don't hear us on the news, and that's unfortunate. But believe me, be proud, because we are there, and we're there in force. And sometimes when you watch the news, you can see the Rotarians' shirts, and you know that they're working hard. And of course, one of the big programs in the Rotary Foundation is the grant program. Very successful program. It's so successful that in the last Rotary year, we actually ran out of specific funds that were allocated strictly for our global grants. And we had to move funds around so we could try to support every request coming in for a global grant. We actually did 2,066 global grants last year, which is one of the highest we've ever had in a given year. And that part of that is because of the COVID grants, certainly added significantly. And we spent $130 million just on global grants. And we did them in all our areas of focus. As you know, we want to be able to provide grants specifically for areas of focus, including the environment, which is our newest area of focus, and we need to remember that and be proud of that. We have individuals around the world who are moving quickly in order to get grants for environmental projects. and programs. And that's something we need to continue to work with and develop, as it is a new area of focus. We also did 467 district grants last year for $31.1 million. So those grants go into individual requests from clubs. So the clubs could get done what they need to do in their own areas with grants from the foundation. And so it's a reminder to us that when you donate to the Rotary Foundation, so much of that comes back to us as clubs or as districts to help what we're doing in our communities. So we need to all remember that. I know in my district, 7020, we get more back from the Rotary Foundation than we actually contribute. And we do contribute over $250,000 every year. And yet we get back over $1 million every year for grants around the district. So we have an opportunity with the foundation to donate and then benefit from those donations locally. Last year, we also started a large-scale grant. The trustees agreed to doing this, and since then we've agreed to continue for another year. But these are grants that last longer term than a usual global grant. They could be a 3-year term, and we had a number of requests that came in to access being approved for a global scale, a large scale grant. With all the requests we had, we approved a grant for Zambia to eliminate malaria in the country. And they believe with the plans they have, they can eliminate 90% of the malaria in Zambia. But one of the beauties of this particular grant is that we approved a $2 million grant. I said large scale. This is more than the norm. But we want to do bigger and better projects that really transform communities. And if we can eliminate malaria out of a country, then that's well worth it. We took that $2 million and then we joined with World Vision and we joined with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation again in order to get each of them to put up $2 million. So our $2 million grant turned into a $6 million grant, and it's working extremely well. The progress is excellent, and we will achieve the goals that we had. A lot of it is training individuals in various parts of the regions of Zambia so they can help all those out in the rural areas to make sure they get help as to what they need so they can eliminate malaria, and working well. This meeting of the trustees next week in Chicago, yeah, we're back to meeting in person. That's going to be a pleasant change. Haven't seen my friends in a long time. So maybe I'll even see Brian King while I'm there, which would be wonderful. Not foundation, but membership, but he does great work and used to do that for the foundation, I might add. So we actually have on our agenda this year's grant of scale that we will discuss and hopefully approve what has been recommended to us. So that continues. Now we have to remember that we need to continue to promote donations to our Rotary Foundation. You know, it's kind of disturbing when I see that only a little over 50% of our Rotary clubs donate to our foundation. It's our foundation. Every one of our clubs around the world, every Rotarian, every Rotaractor should be donating something to the foundation. You can see how much we do around the world, how much we accomplish because of the donations that come from our members. And we need to all step up and be able to do that. And it's not about the amount, it's about committing yourself to doing something for our foundation and really making it the foundation that it is and continues to be. But you know where I get my gratification is when I look at what we do on the grounds in various countries. One program of the foundation is the vocational training teams. This is where you take experts from one country in one particular area and you send them to another country to train, or you send individuals who need training to another country to learn. So it can go either way. And I remember being in Madagascar. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard this story. Just to see how a vocational training team worked. And what was happening is we had a team of 17 surgeons paid for as a grant for a vocational training team. Came from India. These surgeons, all different types of surgery, they gave up their offices, closed down for 2 weeks so they could make this trip to Madagascar and bring their surgical skills to the country that didn't have those particular skills in the country. Well, they came. I spent 2 days with them and helped in the operating room and watched what they were doing and talked with them, and just unbelievable to see what they were doing. We would meet every morning for breakfast, every evening for dinner, and in the morning we would discuss what's going to happen during the day, what kind of surgeries, how many are booked. In the evening, talk about what we achieved during the day. And I noticed there was a couple of surgeons who normally missed breakfast and missed dinner. They came back late. So I asked about them, and they just wanted to go in early so they could do more work, get more of our children the surgery that they needed. And they stayed late so they could get as many as possible done. What an incredible commitment to change. Now, in that 8 days, those surgeons did 3,500 procedures. And these are procedures that otherwise they may not have had. They may have gotten sicker, they may have died if they hadn't had them. But they achieved 3,500 and helped them. And I remember when I was wheeling one patient out of surgery into the recovery room, when you go out of the OR, there's a throng of women and children who are there, and they're polite, they let you go through the crowd. But what they want to know is, can I get in? Will my child be able to have surgery while they're here? That was the demand that was put in front of them. So some ask, are my dollars going to vocational training teams? Yes. Is your dollar helping people? Incredibly, yes. We're making a difference in people's lives. And they appreciate that. There was a child in one of the beds when I took him up to the recovery room. We got him into a bed, and I was waiting for the nurse to come in. And as I was waiting, this young boy, probably 10 or 11, he started to open his eyes, look around the room. And when he saw me and saw, of course, even on my gown, I had to have my Rotary pin on, he smiled and he said, thank you. Now, I'm in the healthcare business and I've seen a lot of patients come out of surgery. I had never before seen anybody wake up and smile and say thank you. That usually happens a little later, but he did, because he appreciated that people who wear this Rotary pin changed his life. And he wanted to say thank you to all of us, because he knows it's not just those who were there that particular week. It's all those that support them. It's people like you who continue to help our foundation to do what we need to do. So I'm, on his behalf, I come to say thank you to all of you, to continue. Those of you who haven't yet donated to the foundation, you'll feel good by doing it, okay? Because you will know that your money is going to the right place to help the right people and to change their lives and to give them hope. So I thank each and every one of you for all that you do, for your community and for people around the world that you'll never see. You make a difference in many, many lives when you help your Rotary Foundation. Thank you all for being here now, and thank you all for what you do. I look forward to seeing you in Houston. It's going to be a great convention. Don't miss it. Thank you.